Hi, everybody. Welcome to class. I'm sorry doing this a little bit later than on Saturday. It's busy here. I'm just ready to go to work. Off to Seoul, Korea. I just got back from Tokyo yesterday on the Saturday. Now I go again here on Sunday to Seoul, Korea. So yesterday I was going to record in the evening. I was just like so jet lagged and tired. So I have to sort of do a little bit of a shorter class right now, just on my way again to work. I just want to make sure that we get a class in this week because I was saying, oh, I should just do it into Seoul, but that's creeping into next week, this coming week, I should say. And I just thought, oh, what if I'm tired in Seoul? And it's just like this and that. So here we go. Let's just try and do a little bit of a class this morning. It'd be good for me to sort of meditate just before I go to work as well. So anyway, thank you for coming. This constitutes basically the second topical class on Pramana or Valid Cognition, third class since we've started this particular kind of little mini course on Valid Cognition and Pramana. So welcome. And I'll be doing another recording this coming week as well. I'm going to be in Korea again on Saturday, so I won't be here to lead a live class. So I will record another class on the sort of third topical class on Pramana this week sometime, maybe towards the end of the week. Anyway, thank you so much. So again, let's just start with the Heart Sutra here, as we usually do, starting everything with a little brief meditation on emptiness. Essence of perfection was in the Blessed Mother. Homage to the perfectionless in the Blessed Mother. Thus I have heard at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir in Masvaltra's mountain, near the great assembly of monks and great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also, Superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of profound perfection wisdom, looking perfectly at the emptiness of inherent existence and also the five aggregates. And through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of the great being, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence and also the five aggregates. Form is empty and emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form is also not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are merely empty, having no characteristics. They're not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth up to no mind element and also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing utterly beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, the equal and the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. Mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata, Om Kata Gata Paragata Parsam Gati Bodhisoha. Shariputra, bodhisattva, great beings should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, that had spoken well. Good, O son of just like that, since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra and Superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Just take a moment here just to do our 9-point breathing. Again, just visualizing a hollow body. And if you like, you can visualize the 3 channels inside your body, otherwise just hollow. And again, breathing 3 inhalations through our left nostril. Also your left exhaling through our right, getting rid of desires, attachment, and hang-ups and so forth. Then reversing it where we inhale through our right, And exhale through our left, getting rid of anger, negativity, reactivity, frustration, so forth. And then 3 deep inhalations and exhalations through both nostrils. And on the final inhalation, sort of making the 9th, just hold the breath at your, just a little bit below your belly button. And just for a moment, putting your mind there. So your mind, your chi, and your breath are all mixed just basically at the navel chakra. Okay. Okay, just taking a moment here to finish up. And just while you're finishing up, just sort of lightly guide everybody here into our meditation, just a brief meditation here on Gyema. So let's take a moment to visualize ourselves seated in a wide open space, grounds like lapis, beautiful, easy to sit on, soft, beautiful cloudless blue sky above us here, like a big dome. And we're surrounded by all sentient beings here. So our mother on our left, father on our right, people we love the most and are attached to and so forth behind us as support, and people in front of us that we have issues with or even want to do healing with for, we sort of put in right in front of us here. And then moving outward in concentric circles outwards, all the people we know in this life, human beings from all over the world, all different backgrounds and countries and so forth, all here together as a human family. Animal beings from the animal realm, countless different kinds of animals, from just the small little insects to big mammals and so forth, all different ecosystems here. And countless beings from the spirit world. So spirit world's as big and as varied as the animal realm. You just feel that all the different spirits, elementals, local gods and so forth, fairies and dragons, so to speak, they're all here as well, as are all Bardo beings. Celestial beings, different gods and demigods, and countless beings in lower states of rebirth. Hungry ghost beings and different hell beings. And everybody's here together, happy to meditate, kind of like a big family. All sort of doing our mindfulness meditation and prepared to do the visualizations of Gyema. So just to start, let's just look up in the sky in front of us and just sort of bridging 2 worlds here. We see Tushita, or Ganden Pure Land, kind of like we have a window that's opening up, just like a vision made out of energy or light in the sky. And Ganden Pure Land's absolutely beautiful with mountains and valleys and forests and lakes, rivers, seas, and so forth. And everything is expression of Buddha's enlightened mind. So they say, just like in these Pure Lands, if you're there and you hear a bird singing, it's like a mantra, or the wind blows and you hear a sutra in your mind or so forth. Everything's completely blissful and spacious and wonderful. So for us, we're seeing in particular for Ganden Pure Land kind of almost like a little university town there, of all different temples and pagodas, stupas, so forth, monasteries, monastic universities, hermitages, and with all different Buddhist bodhisattvas, yogis and yoginis, gods and goddesses, everybody here, all Arya beings, meditating, studying, debating, reading, and teaching the Dharma. And there's sort of a central cathedral, kind of where all the universal Buddhas are, or just sort of come from. And the doors are open, we can see in. And in it is future Buddha, Buddha Maitreya, fifth universal Buddha, Buddha of love and kindness, seated in chair, the golden body, and his hands in the turn of the wheel of Dharma, mudra at his heart, holding two white lotuses. He has a crown, and silks, and very, very beautiful. And on his right or our left is Atisha, founder of the Tsongkhapa school, and Tsongkhapa on his right or left or our right. So his right or left for Atisha, and for Tsongkhapa, Maitreya's left or our right. And the founder of the New Kadampa school. And he's both of them in the ways we usually see them in Tonkas and so forth, with 3 robes of a monk and yellow penance hat, with the, again, mudra turning wheel Dharma. Now at his heart, beautiful clouds start billowing out here and slowly coming towards us. And on it is again Tsongkhapa, how we usually see him on a lion throne, lotus moon seat, and in sun seat. He's got a turn wheel mudra, Dharma mudra at his heart, 2 white lotuses, 3 robes of a monk. And in front of him are his 2 heart students, Chopa Gyatso and Kidrupje. Chopa Gyatso on his right and Kidrupje on his left. And they're dressed like wearing 3 robes of a monk, and they have little Dharma texts in their left hand. Right hand is in the mudra of teaching. Okay, so just taking refuge here. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through the virtues we collect by giving the perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. The virtues we collect by giving and other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Generating the 4 measurables, measurable love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from misery. May no one ever be separated from their happiness. And may everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. Okay, just as we do the invocation here, we just like, I always say, just like rolling on a yoga mat, kind of like the clouds are being rolled, unfurled towards us here, bringing Tsongkhapa and Chopa Gyatso and Kidrupje very close to us. So it's almost kind of like a little crane coming down from Maitreya's heart. So when we're all together here, just looking up, just above us, in front of us here, Tsongkhapa and his 2 heart students. And then there's clouds from them just leading back into Maitreya's heart, kind of like our heart connection to Ganden Pure Land. Buddha, the Pure Land of all the universal Buddhas, Buddha Maitreya, loving kindness Buddha in particular, and also the Pure Land of the wisdom of all the Buddhas, Manjushri. So it's beautiful Pure Lands connected to us kind of on a heart level here. There's an old Chinese story where there's an old woman praying to Amitabha, and this Buddhist monk walks by and goes, "Hey, Grandma, what are you doing?" She goes, "I'm praying to Buddha Amitabha, Buddha of infinite light, to go to his Pure Land to the west. And this monk's being kind of a bit cynical or making a joke. And he goes, "Oh, Grandma, where is this Pure Land that you want to go to? You know, the Western Pure Land. Is it like over the horizon, or like, 10 kilometers down the road to the west? Where is it? Ha ha." And she goes like this and points to her heart. And that's kind of like a famous story. So it's the same thing here. When we're all this is coming from our heart here, all these visualizations, Maitreya's heart, Tsongkhapa's heart, all these Pure Lands are just in the heart. And again, it just, when we think about it, at the center of our heart chakra is our most subtle mind of clear light, which is the basis for all reality. And so basis for heaven and hell, so to speak. So our Pure Land literally is at our heart. So we remember this as we're doing this visualization. And again, generating mind of bodhicitta, generating the four immeasurables of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Okay, so Tsongkhapa students come closer to us and we recite. From the heart of protected the hundreds of deities of the joyful land to the peak of the clouds like a cluster of fresh white curd. All knowing Tsongkhapa, King of the Dharma, please come to the space together with your two chief disciples. The space before me, the lion from Los and Moon, for the number response to light. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please remain for 100 hands of spread teaching. Your minds of wisdom realize the full extent of knowledge of knowledge. Your eloquent speech is the ear ornament of the fortunate. Your beautiful bodies are blades of the glory of renown. I prostrate to you whom to see, to hear, and to remember so meaningful. Pleasing water offerings, various flowers, sweet-smelling incense, light, scented water, and so forth, a vast cloud of offerings both set out and imagined, I offer to you supreme field of merit. Whatever known virtues of body, speech, and mind, I have accumulated since time without beginning, especially transgressions of my 3 levels of vows. With great remorse, I declare each one from the depths of my heart. In this degenerate age, you strove for much learning and accomplishment. Abandon the 8 worldly concerns and made your leisure and endowment meaningful. Protector, from the very depths of my heart, I rejoice in great wave of your deeds. From the blown clouds of wisdom and compassion, in the space of your enlightened minds, venerable and holy gurus, please send down a rain of vast and profound dharma, appropriate to the disciples of this world. May your Vajra body, created from the purity of clear light, free of the rising and setting of cyclic resistance, but visible in the ordinary viewer only in its unsubtle physical form, stand unchanging without waning until samsara ends. Through the virtues I've accumulated here, and teachings that all of the beings receive every benefit, and especially in the essence of the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, shine forever. Short mantle offering. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, a great mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, seen as a Buddha land, and offered thus, may all beings enjoy such pure lands. I offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to my attachment, hatred, and ignorance, my friends, enemies, strangers, their bodies, and all enjoyments. Please accept these and bless me to be released from the 3 poisons. I send forth this jewel mantle to you, precious gurus. Om Edam Guru Rana Mandala Kamyatiyami. Now, from the hearts of Tsongkhapa and his 2 students, Chopa and Kechupche, beautiful golden lights coming down, dissolving into us. As you recite the mantra, feel that this is just purifying us, but also kind of leveling us up or sort of powering up, giving us a blessing jinlap or mind transformation, going from sort of a negative, selfish, kind of constricted, weak, kind of interior, self-cherishing attitude to this open, just kind of like a flower blossoming outwards, sort of an affirmative, joyous, open, connected feeling to all beings and to life. Super positive, powerful, and creative. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure, unimaginable compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, and Vajrapani, lord of the secret, destroyer of the hordes of Mars without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel, the sage of the land of snows. Tsongkhapa, I make requests at your lotus feet. Meg me se wei ter chen chen rezi. Dream can be wong po jam paya. Du pung ma lu jom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke be sung kian song ka ba. Lo sang tra pe sha bla so wa de. Mig me se wei ter chen chen rezi. Dream can pay wang po jam pang ya. Du pung ma lu jom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke pei sun ken song ka pam. Lo sang cha pei cha bla so wan ding. Me say wei che chen chen wei zi. Dream can be wang po jam pao ya. Du pung ma lu chom se sang wei dan. Gan chen ke pe sun kian song kan pa. Lo san dra pe sha bla so wan. Course and precious for a crew. Please come the lowest moon seat of my crown. In great kindness, please remain with me. Bestow upon me your blessings of body, speech, and mind. Glorious and precious Ruku, please ascend the lowest moon seat of my heart. In great kindness, please remain with me. Grant me a common and supreme realizations. Glorious precious Ruku, please remain in the lowest moon seat of my heart. In great kindness, please remain with me. Please remain until I achieve the essence of enlightenment. So let's visualize at our heart, a little tiny 8-petaled white lotus with a moon disc on it, about the size of a quarter or so, made out of pure energy. And you start to see that the whole merit field starts to dissolve into beautiful golden light. So we can just feel Ganden Pure Land, and all sort of buildings and all the holy beings melt into the heart and melt and sort of dissolve inward in the heart of Maitreya. And Maitreya becomes just like a beautiful sun, beautiful ball of golden light coming towards us, sort of melting all the clouds, and he dissolves into Tsongkhapa. To all the clouds and thrones and so forth melt into Tsongkhapa, and Japagyas and Kejupchi become balls of golden light that again sort of dissolve inward into Tsongkhapa's heart. Now it's just Tsongkhapa in the sky. It gets very, very small, size of a sunflower seed, pure light or energy, and again, just sort of embodying the enlightened wisdom, enlightened compassion, enlightened power of all the Buddhas, seen as an emanation of these three Buddhas, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, and Vajrapani. Comes to the crown of our head, enters our central channel, and very, very slowly starts to descend, just like a leaf falling. Till we sort of lands just like a little helicopter just at our heart here, on the moon disc and the lotus, and then that starts to close and dissolve. And we feel great, great bliss and joy and spaciousness. Okay, so coming out of meditation now. Let's do a little bit of teaching here for the next few minutes on Pramana. So our second sort of class here. One thing I have as a note here, which is really good, is that basically, we're talking about what constitutes valid cognition or true cognition, true knowledge, true experience. In other words, valid in the sense that what's correct or true compared to what's false, misleading, a misconception, so forth. And so this being an error would lead you into error. And if that's the case, again, karmically, if something's not true, though, there's going to be ethical repercussions for you, right? Just whereas something's true compared to something's false, and we're acting on them. If something's incorrect knowledge, you're going to get bad results. And if it's correct knowledge, you get good results. So this being the case, we want to make sure that we have sort of correct knowledge or correct valid perception, valid cognition. And again, because the overall, I guess you'd say motivation here and why we're doing this is, again, Buddha says, I'm showing a path out of suffering, a path to peace and to happiness. So this is based, kind of interesting, on knowing what's true and knowing what's false. So this is how they say, you get in Buddhist teachings a lot where we say we know what to adopt and then what to abandon, what to let go and what to take on. So what we have now is we've taken on all sorts of bad conceptions, wrong views, bad habits, and so forth, making ourselves suffer and making other people suffer. That's what we have to let go of. And we have to adopt virtuous activity or good things or true things. And this will allow us to blossom and to flourish. So, but there's different levels of pramana or even understandings of what valid cognition means based on different schools of emptiness. I've talked about this before. So that's a little bit what we're getting at in this class here. But in the big picture, what's here is that there's only one real valid cognition that you have to worry about, but one real pramana, and that's the pramana of seeing emptiness directly, or the non-inherent nature of all phenomena. The fact that phenomena lack, or what's absent from phenomena, is this impossible way of existing and being outside of relationships. So being outside of relationships, or what they, you see a lot, it's a little bit clunky, translated into English from Tibetan, there's existing from its own side, or kind of removed, or an exteriority, something taken apart and not in a relationship to anything, not in relation. That nature, which you claim, of course, is sort of ontology or sort of a true nature of things, is lacking. So things are empty of that. They lack that, right? So that's, of course, what we're getting and what emptiness means. So that when you see this, have an experience of emptiness, or see this directly in your meditation, this is the ultimate valid cognition. This is the true nature of things, what we call their ultimate nature. Their real nature is that they have no nature, understood as being outside of relationships. So what I have as a note here, something Michael said, which is great, is that when you see emptiness directly, this is a pramana. And then you see, like, by knowing that this is a valid cognition, seeing the true nature of things, part of the package of having this valid cognition, I guess you could say, is that when you see the truth, you see what's also false, right? You see what's been in error once you finally get it. So when you see emptiness directly and see that this is a valid cognition, you're having what they call a yogic direct perceiver, where your mind and the object sort of are yoked together, yogically one. They always say, like, one glass of water poured into another. When you see this, you see that all along, all this time, you haven't had a correct perception of reality, right? In other words, all this time you've been ignorant. You've had it wrong. You've been wrong about everything. You've been claiming things have this impossible nature, but now you see that they don't. And because their nature, their natureless nature, it's always already been the case. They've never had it, which means it's always already the case. You've always been wrong. So this is the first time in your life when you see emptiness that you see the truth, so to speak, the truth of your life, the truth of your mind, the truth of phenomena. And then this is the idea that you, quote unquote, wake up or become a Buddha, right? You are awakened or enlightened. The idea that, you turn on a light, you're in a dark room. Oh my God, all this time I've been in the dark. And now I flip the switch, electric switch on the wall, and in the light, I see things clearly. I see things as they really are. Things are brought into the light. This is why In old Greek philosophy, they use the term phenomena, which means something coming into the light. You're seeing what it is. It's becoming illuminated, so to speak, and you see it. So I like that idea that ultimately the one valid cognition we're shooting for is a direct realization of emptiness. And once you see that valid perception, you see you've been ignorant all along, right? You've finally woken up, which also means that the light's on, you can't go back in the dark. The darkness is dispelled or chased away by the light. You've woken up, you won't go back into sleep, right? You won't go back into a state of non-knowing. And this is sort of, again, Greek term of gnosis, for instance. So two kinds of pramana, I think I mentioned this before. One is direct perception, which is not dependent on reasoning, and two, which is deductive reasoning. Again, this is deductive reasoning here, at least in the Gelugpa tradition. What we're doing through syllogistic reasoning or logic is seen as being a superior form of reasoning. This isn't inductive, for instance, reasoning, because that's not as secure, I guess, as a form of reasoning. Anyway, deductive reasoning, it depends on good reasons, which leads you to see something, see a conclusion. So just, it's the same thing in Greek philosophy, for instance. They always said that, geometry is one of the best analogies of good knowing, because you deduce it. When you're doing it, you get at the end of the equation, when you've made a geometric proof, there's no way to deny the conclusion, right? You've just proved, that's why they call it a proof, a geometric proof. So there can't be doubt. And it's the same way as that. So the two kinds of pramana we want is direct perception, seeing it clearly. Just like I can see, if I'm clear and awake and I'm not on drugs or anything, I can see my watch clearly, for instance. This doesn't have to be proved to me. I don't have to say, am I really seeing this watch or whatever? This is a valid perception for me at this point. So in meditation, we're going to see when we have yogic experiences, direct perceptions in meditation, those count if you're doing it right under, the guidance of the teacher and with the proper skill and instruction. The results you get or experiences you get are valid perceptions, like you can trust them, right? And then deductive reasoning is something we can prove again through reasoning or through logic. And then we see or, get the result. We see things clearly, see things a certain way, right? So those are the two kinds of pramana here. Now, there's two kinds of deductive reasoning. Actually, I've got three listed here. So anyway, first one is logical, which is used to perceive hidden things. Of course, if we can't see things directly, we're going to use reasoning and logic in our investigation to perceive them. Two is, interesting, a belief in authority, as listed here, which is examine the person making the claim and see if they're reputable or they're worth believing. And then three is based on convention. People agree that something's the case, so it's generally accepted as such. Okay, so I guess in some ways it's three levels of truth, or three different kinds of truths that we're using in reasoning. So again, logical reasoning that we use when we're just using rationality in general to prove something to ourselves or to others. We use this all the time in our day-to-day life. And then belief in authority. Now, again, this is, if you study informal logic, you see that that's a fallacy in some ways, which is they call argument from authority. In other words, so-and-so says that they're an important, reputable person, therefore it has to be true. Well, many times big, important, or reputable, or people we agree with make mistakes, right? But that being aside, the point being is that on an ethical level or on a spiritual level here, if there is a person of authority, that someone we believe in, that's demonstrably, I guess you could say, a good person, and that has all the experience here in the teachings, we can, again, if they pass certain amounts of tests, we can believe what they're saying, especially if they're arguing from their own experience, which is the best thing. Kierkegaard, the famous sort of Christian existentialist of the 19th century, he always said that there's sort of two, it's in Johann Climacticus, I can't remember which book it's in. Anyway, trying to think what book it's anyway, whatever. But there's a great thing he says is that there's kind of two kinds of truths. A universal truth, like a mathematical truth, where it doesn't matter who you are that says it. In other words, 2 + 2 = 4 is true no matter who says it. We all agree it's true in terms of mathematics. In other words, a little kid can say it, someone who's mentally ill can say it, Someone on drugs can say it, you can say it, someone that knows nothing about mathematics can say it, and it's accepted as being true. But then he says on an ethical level or a spiritual level, there is ethical or spiritual truths where it depends on the kind of person saying it, whether it's true or not, whether you believe them. So in other words, if I'm a super corrupt, unethical, evil person, but then I make an ethical claim like, you should be a good person, I'm giving you personal advice, you should try harder to be a more spiritual person, meditate more, whatever. You're gonna like, who are you to tell me that? You're not even doing, look at you. What kind of authority are you, right, to tell me what to do? So in other words, the truth of that statement brings in the person saying it, right? And so that's sort of, I guess, and I think that that's true. I mean, we know we do this even in our own life, and why sort of personal integrity and ethics is so good. But belief in authority, that's, I think, on that level is what we're talking about. Examine the person making the claim, see if they're reputable and whether we accept what they say. And then the third one is based on convention. People agree upon something, so it's generally accepted as such. Of course, when we look at the Prasangika school of Madhyamika, everything's kind of conventional reality at that point. Like, it's all in terms of what we accept together. The rules of language, for instance, our general sort of perceptual milieu that we go about in our day-to-day lives, that's all in terms of conventions, right, as we know. So there's a lot of stuff like that. So if we all say, okay, this is my watch with the black leather bands, and then someone says, no, it's not, it's a teacup. Everyone in the room, we'd say, well, no, it's at least to us in terms of the convention that we don't know what your perception's like, but we're going to go with the fact that we all agree here that this is the watch with the black straps here. So I mean, you can see it's pretty straightforward. So the three objects we're trying to establish with valid perception are nirvana, of the omniscience of a Buddhist mind, and the path to both. So in other words, the liberation you get when you overcome obstacles to liberation, or your intellectual and sort of more coarse obstacles to perceiving emptiness. Once we get past those, we see emptiness directly, we become an arhat, we leave samsara. And then when we perceive what they call getting rid of obstacles to omniscience, where we perceive the two truths, conventional and ultimate reality, directly, in other words, in our perception of emptiness, which is a higher spiritual perception, that's when we become a fully enlightened Buddha, not just an arhat, and we have an omniscient mind because we see two levels of reality simultaneously. We see emptiness and we see all individual objects at the same time. And then the path to both. They're basically one path. It's just one is halfway and then one's the rest of the way, right? In other words, to arhathood, to achieving nirvana, leaving samsara, and then going a little further to full Buddha. We need reasoning to get to this point, to see these things. Why? Because they're not in our day-to-day experience. If we don't know what omniscience obviously looks like, we don't know what nirvana is. We need not just our meditative experience and all of our scriptural understanding and study, we need our logic to understand these things. Okay, 3 tests for checking to see if what someone says is accurate. 1, which is in Tibetan, Nungsam Gi Minupa, which is a statement can't be disproved by any direct perception you have had. So again, is it true? Like if someone goes around saying that, this again isn't a watch, but a teacup or something, you're just like, you're not going to believe it. It's not going to be true in the sense that it's contradicting your everyday experience, right, on one level. Now, again, we can see there might be deeper spiritual truths or that people might be having a different reality or whatever, but just on the whole, when you go to see a spiritual teacher, their teachings have to conform on a certain level, interface with you on your everyday life. Otherwise, they won't make sense to you. 2, Jimpaki Mi Nupa, which means a statement can't be contradicted by correct, airtight reasoning. So again, at least in Buddhism, things have to be argued for or proven. Using reasoning. Other religions, not the same, as you know. Then there's a question of faith always supersedes reason. This is a big thing if you're studying, let's say, St. Augustine or St. Thomas Aquinas. Aquinas always says that these mysteries or faith are the ultimate, the objects of faith, the most important things in the Christian doctrine, can't be demonstrated logically. They have to be taken by faith. So logic gets you so far, and then faith goes over the other way. This isn't that. This is what we're saying is that things have to sort of be subject to airtight reasoning or logic when we're studying Buddhism. 3, Nachi Mingyo, which is nothing he ever said before contradicts what he said after. So in other words, there can't be self-contradictions when you're looking at, when you're giving the teachings. They have to be consistent, internally consistent. So question, how do you know whether to take something literally when you're doing the teachings here? How do you know when to take scripture figuratively versus taking it literally? So there's 3 levels to determine when to take the statement as figurative, for instance. So if we're having issues where there are contradictions in the teachings or inconsistencies, is it figurative? Is it metaphorical? Is it symbolic? Is it literal? How do we know? Sometimes it's very, very ambiguous when you're studying here. So first one is Gongji, which is, what was the true intent of the statement? What did, let's say, the Buddha, these great Buddhist saints, have in mind when they wrote it? Of course, 40 years of deconstruction or whatever, people like, what's the intent of the author? Where's the author? Roland Barthes, Michel Foucault, all these sort of great philosophers are looking at texts are just like, well, this can be very, very ambiguous. How do we determine the intention of the author? This is why it's good to have good teachers who are very, very skilled and educated and have vast amounts of personal experience and meditative experience. You're going to get more they're going to have sort of a clear understanding of how to read these texts on a practical level. And that's why, like Tisha said, ultimately, Buddhism is not just pragmatist, that we're dealing with results or consequences. We're trying to use these teachings as a tool to produce certain results. Like, ultimately, if they're therapeutic, is they're trying to heal something or cure something. And so that's why Atisha said that the Buddha is the doctor, the Dharma is the medicine, and then the Sangha and other teachers, or whatever, like the nurses or paramedics or whatever, they're helping the doctor. So you can see that this is a good way of seeing that ultimately things are therapeutic. So if there's self-contradictions, Atisha would say it's because the prescriptions, almost like the recipes, the medicine is different depending on what people's problems are or what people need. And that's a way of reading the text as well. So you'll know the intent. It's like the Buddha is the doctor, or these great Buddhist saints are doctors, and you'll know their intent there. Number 2, Nia, does it contradict obvious direct reality or perception? I said this before, is it has to be a certain consistency with your everyday life or everyday experience, and can't be completely outlandish or out of this world where it contradicts the basic sort of logic of your everyday life, right? Just a teacher saying, well, everything's upside down, not right side up, or basically everything's purple, you can't see it as such, but really everything's purple. You're just like this. And again, how would this be helpful to you? How would this be therapeutic to you? That would be the issue you would wonder. And 3, Gupa, which is there a compelling need to make this statement achieve a certain purpose? So in other words, if there is an inconsistency or ambiguousness or self-contradiction here, what's the overall intent? Like, are the rules being bent a little bit or something? Is there exceptions being made to bring about a greater truth or greater result? For the students, for instance. This is what we call skillful means, right? And of course, this is the idea of theory and practice. Oftentimes, the practice is very different than the theory. In other words, how the theory ends up being applied, for instance. And so, again, if we take this model that it's being therapeutic, we can see that says that oftentimes to cure or deal with the specific issue in Buddhism, we're dealing with suffering and how to sort of transform it into happiness, how to alleviate suffering. Oftentimes things can be a little bit on a practical level, would seem inconsistent or a little bit contradictory or whatever, in the need to address the illness or to work on some people's level. Sometimes you have to work where people are at, so it seems like you might be lying to them, but you have to start there before you walk them forward or help people get to, therapeutically another, I guess, sort of help them grow or sort of self-realize or progress along a certain continuum of their practice, for instance. So then it just says here, you must consider all 3 of these before you accept the statement as literal or figurative. So later on, when we study Tsongkhapa's work, this is a big, essence of true eloquence. We'll see that this is the most important question, is when are Buddha's teachings literal and when are they figurative? Why? Because there's so many sutras Buddha taught for 50 years of his life, and there's so many apparent self-contradictions or inconsistencies or ambiguities. So what, if we read it all literally, it's just like if we're reading the Bible literally or reading any kind of thing literally. Oftentimes when you look at the text clearly, it's just like there's all sorts of confusions or inconsistencies. How do we know how to deal with that? So again, we can see that we're using our, as they always say, that the three ways: we're using our personal experience here, we're using logic and reasoning, and we're using the scriptures or teachings to see whether they're consistent. Just to conclude here, I always remember Alexander Berzin, such a great teacher, Buddhist teacher. He said, it might be in his book on, I have the old version, it's called Relating to a Spiritual Teacher. I don't know, it's called maybe Wise Teacher, Wise Student now or something. It's on Guru Devotion, excellent book. At least the old version is, I don't know what the new version is like, but the old one that I have is really, really good. But he gave an example where he said his teacher, His Holiness Serkan Zasep Rinpoche, who was one of the debate partners and close lamas to His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he's the one that Yoda is based on. One of George Lucas's guys in his team had actually studied with Serkan Rinpoche, met him in Dharamsala, and then kind of, anyway, that's the story. You can see that on Alexander Berzin's website, where it's like Serkan Rinpoche looks like Yoda. But anyway, he did an amazing thing where Serkan Rinpoche said to Alexander Berzin once, he said, if you really read the sutras and text closely, you'll see there's all sorts of contradictions and inconsistencies. And so it's the question of Buddhas are omniscient and they're trying to lead you enlightenment, and they have nothing but your good, your welfare as their first primary motivation or intention with their bodhicitta. Why are they lying to you? Why are they misleading you? Why are they self-contradicting? Why are they paradoxically doing things? Why aren't they just being literal black and white? Now, of course, they see things clearly and truly. We're in delusion and ignorance, so we're following a different logic than them. They have to meet us where we are. So it's going to appear self-contradictory to us. But I think even deeper, he said, which is really sweet, is he said, there's also a lot of things left out or inconsistencies or gaps or holes in the teachings. And he said, why would they do that to you? Like, are they being abusive, or is it kind of like a trickster God here a little bit, or the demiurge where they're getting in there to mess with you? It's like, he said a great line. He said, ultimately they want you to do the work. In other words, this is an education or pedagogical approach they're bringing it. They're not going to give you won't even be able to understand the answer anyway. They're not going to give it all in your lap. You have to work for it for you. You have to fill in the gaps. It's your sort of Jungian personal journey here of transformation, alchemical transformation. So they're giving you a map that you have to interpret with all sorts of problems, because it's an educational exercise of you empowering yourself. You yourself are waking yourself up. You yourself are self-realizing. It's not that they're a God that gives you something you need that you don't have. All the answers are ultimately within you. It's about you connecting the dots. So you need to do that kind of work through your direct experience and meditative experience, most importantly, through your logical reasoning, and ultimately through your study and engaging with the texts. They can't be like some mommy or daddy where they just give you the answer, like giving you a sucker, an ice cream cone. You're like, oh, thanks so much. Oh, great, Buddhas, do this for me. You have to self-awaken or self-illuminate. So literally, it's all up to you. All they do is point the way, give you the map, and cheerlead. You can do it. You're amazing. We believe in you. We love you. Just, you can do it. Why? Because the emptiness of your mind is right here. Everything you need, you have already. You just have to turn the machine on or connect the dots. We're just saying, that's it. Flip that switch or whatever. You can do it. You can do it. So again, this is even the limitations of reason. I guess we could say this is the faith part, transcending the reason part, if we want to go that way. But that's I think, a very, very deep and beautiful lesson, ultimately on Pramana, that we can have here. So again, let's just take a moment to dedicate here. I got to head to work now. Blessings of all holy beings, truth of karma, cause and their effects, power of our pure superior intention, bodhicitta, and all of our dharma wishes be fulfilled, and all sending means reach full awakening. Okay, see you next week. I'll send out a recording as quick as I can this week. Okay, lots of love. Bye.